Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the show. Oh my goodness, I am so happy you are here today.
Hello. Welcome, everyone. It is so good to have you with us again. Zubie, how are you today?
Leo, I am fantastic. I had 3 cups of tea this morning, so I am basically running on rocket fuel right now.
3 cups? Zubie, that is not tea. That is a lifestyle.
It is my lifestyle, and I am proud of it. Okay, but seriously, to everyone listening right now, welcome. Whether you are on your way to work, sitting at home, doing dishes, driving the kids to school.
We see you. We really do. And we are so glad you chose to spend this time with us.
Exactly. You could be doing anything right now, but you are here, and that already tells us something special about you.
It does. It tells us you are someone who wants to grow, someone who is curious. And today we have something really close to our hearts.
Yes. But first, hey, if you are new here, welcome to the family. And if you have been with us before, you already know what time it is.
It is learning time, good conversation time.
And fun time. Okay, Leo, before we jump in, let us do a quick thing. Guys, if you are getting value from the show, and I really think you will today, please hit subscribe. It takes 1 second, and it means the world to us.
And if today's episode speaks to you, like it, share it. Maybe there's a woman in your life, a friend, a sister, your mother, who needs to hear this today.
Send it to her. Seriously, that one share could change someone's day. Okay, now, Leo, tell them, what are we talking about today?
Today, we are talking about identity, about who you are beyond your roles, beyond being a wife, a mother, a daughter, a worker.
Ooh, I already have chills.
The topic today is more than just a housewife, rediscovering your identity and your passions.
And let me tell you why this matters. So many women, especially in our culture, in our communities, they spend years, sometimes decades, taking care of everyone else. And somewhere along the way, they forget about themselves.
They forget what they love, what makes them laugh, what they dreamed about before the world gave them a list of responsibilities.
And the painful part? Some women even feel embarrassed to say, I want something for myself. Like that's selfish, like that's wrong.
It is not wrong. It is human. And today we are going to talk about it, gently, honestly, and with a lot of love.
By the end of this episode, you will understand why your identity matters, how to reconnect with it, and what small steps you can take starting today, not tomorrow, today.
So whether you're a housewife, a working woman, a student, this conversation is for you.
All right, let's get into it. Leo, I want to start with something very basic, very foundational. What does identity even mean? Like, when someone says, "Who are you?" What does that question really mean?
That's such a good starting point. So identity is basically the answer to the question, who am I? But here's the thing, most people answer that question with their roles. I am a mother, I am a teacher, I am a wife.
Right, and that's what I do too. Someone asks me, Zubie, who are you? And I say, I am a podcast host.
Exactly. But your identity is bigger than your role. Your identity includes your values, what you believe in, your interests, what you love doing, your personality, how you see the world.
Values, interests, personality. Okay, so identity is like a 3-layer thing.
I like that. 3 layers. And when a woman spends years only living in one role, say the role of a housewife or a caregiver, she sometimes loses touch with the other 2 layers.
She knows she is a wife, but she forgets she's also someone who loves painting, or someone who used to write poetry, or someone who had big dreams about traveling.
Precisely. And that disconnection, that feeling of, I don't know who I am anymore, is one of the most quietly painful feelings a woman can have.
Quietly painful. Leo, that phrase just hit different. Because it's not loud pain. Nobody sees it. You're doing everything right on the outside. Cooking, cleaning, supporting, loving. But inside...
Inside, there's an emptiness, a question that whispers, Is this all there is?
Okay, I need a second. That's real. That's so real.
And the beautiful thing is, the fact that you're asking that question means you're not lost. You're waking up.
Waking up. I love that. Okay, so Leo, let me ask you this. How does a woman even get to this place? Like, how does it happen that someone loses their identity? What's the process?
Let me think. Okay, so it usually happens very gradually. It doesn't happen overnight. A woman gets married, or she has a child, and suddenly the needs of others become louder than her own needs.
The baby cries louder than her dream does. Sorry, that just came out.
Quietly. That was beautifully said, Zubie.
Oh, thank you. I didn't plan that one.
But yes, that's exactly it. And society doesn't help because society rewards women for giving, for sacrificing, for putting others first. So a woman learns very early that her needs can wait.
And she keeps waiting and waiting until one day she realizes she doesn't even know what she needs anymore. She forgot.
The word for this is self-erasure, when you slowly erase yourself from your own life to make room for everyone else.
Self-erasure. Wow, that's such a powerful word. Say it again.
Self-erasure, when you erase yourself, your wants, your dreams, your preferences, to fit into a role.
And the scary part is, it feels noble while it's happening. It feels like love. I'm doing this for my family.
Which is love, but love should not require the complete disappearance of yourself.
Okay, this leads me to my next question, and I think this one is going to surprise some people. Leo, is there a difference between being selfless and losing yourself?
Oh, that's such a sharp question. Yes, absolutely yes. Being selfless means you choose to give. You still have a self, you're just choosing to prioritize others in that moment.
Okay, so selfless is a choice.
Right, but losing yourself means you no longer have a sense of who you are outside of your responsibilities. You aren't choosing to give, you're giving because you don't know what else to do.
So one is generous and the other is empty?
One is generous, the other is survival mode dressed up as virtue.
Survival mode dressed up as virtue. Leo, where do you get these lines?
I read a lot and I drink 1 cup of tea, unlike some people.
Okay, fair. But seriously, I think a lot of women listening right now are nodding their heads because they know this feeling, the feeling of, I'm doing so much, but I feel so empty.
And they might feel guilty for even feeling that way. How can I feel empty? I have a home, I have a family, I have food on the table.
Yes, like the emptiness feels ungrateful, but it's not. Gratitude and emptiness can exist at the same time.
Exactly. You can love your life and still feel like something is missing. Those two things are not contradictions.
Oh, that's so freeing to hear. Okay, Leo, I want to shift now because we've talked about the problem. Let's talk about the beginning of the solution. Where does a woman even start? If she has lost her identity, where does she begin to find it again?
She starts with memory. Not planning, not goals, memory.
Memory. Interesting. Like remembering?
Yes, before the roles, before the responsibilities. Who were you? What did you love? What made you forget to eat because you were so absorbed in it?
Oh, I remember before this podcast, I used to draw, just for myself. Nobody asked me to. I loved it.
Drawing. And when did you stop?
Honestly, when life got busy, when I started feeling like I needed to be productive. Like drawing is not productive. It doesn't earn money, it doesn't help anyone.
And there it is, the moment you decided your joy needed a justification.
Wow, yeah, I decided joy needed a justification.
That's the moment identity starts to shrink, when we only allow ourselves the things we can explain or defend.
And for a housewife, that moment comes constantly. Why are you reading? There's laundry. Why are you painting? Who's going to cook?
The message becomes, your time only has value if it serves someone else.
But that's not true.
It is absolutely not true. And recognizing that lie, that's the first step.
The first step is recognizing the lie that says your time only matters if it serves someone else.
And replacing it with the truth. Your time has value because you have value.
Full stop.
Full stop.
Okay, we're going to go deeper into this because we have so much more to talk about. How to reconnect with your passions, how to handle the guilt, how to talk to your family about this, and so much more.
Stay with us. This conversation is just getting started.
All right, we are back in the flow. And Leo, I want to go somewhere that I think is really important. We talked about memory, going back to who you were. But some women might say, Zubie, Leo, I genuinely do not remember. I have been in this role so long, I do not know what I love anymore.
That is so honest. And it is more common than people think.
So what do you do when even the memory is foggy?
You experiment. Like a scientist. You try things, small things, and you notice what makes you feel alive, even just a little bit.
Experiment. So you're saying do not wait until you know, just try.
Try something, anything. Read a book in a genre you have never read before. Take a walk alone, with no destination. Cook something new, not for the family, for yourself.
For yourself. That is such a radical idea for some women. Cooking something just because you want to try it.
I know a woman, a friend of mine, who had not cooked anything for herself in 11 years. She always cooked for her husband, her children, her guests. One day, she made herself a cup of saffron tea, just because she wanted to try it. Nobody asked for it. Nobody else was home.
And?
She said it was the first time in years she felt like herself.
A cup of saffron tea. See, this is what I mean. Identity does not always come back in a dramatic moment. Sometimes it comes back in a cup of tea.
Sometimes it comes back very quietly, in a small, ordinary moment that says, I still exist.
I still exist. Oh, that is powerful. Okay, so experimenting, trying small things. What else?
Another thing, notice what you envy. Not in a negative way, but envy is actually information.
Wait, envy? Like jealousy?
Light envy. When you see someone doing something and you feel that small sting, I wish I could do that. That feeling is pointing you toward something you want.
Oh, so if I see a woman who paints and I feel that little pang, that is not just jealousy. That is my heart saying, hey, you want this.
Exactly. Envy, when you examine it gently, is a compass.
Envy as a compass. I never thought of it that way, but it makes so much sense.
Most of the time when we feel envious of someone, we don't actually want to take what they have. We want to feel what they feel. The freedom, the joy, the sense of purpose.
The sense of purpose. Leo, that is another big word in this whole conversation. Purpose. Let us go there, because I think a lot of women feel my purpose is my family. And that is beautiful, but can that be your only purpose?
Let me think about this carefully, because I don't want to dismiss the role of family. Family is deeply meaningful, but purpose, true purpose, is about contribution that comes from your deepest self, your gifts, your passions, your unique perspective.
So a woman can have multiple layers of purpose?
Absolutely. She can be a devoted mother and a passionate gardener. She can be a loving wife and a brilliant writer. She can be a wonderful homemaker and a community leader.
The "and" is so important. It's not either or.
It's never either or. Identity is not a competition between your roles.
Okay, I love this. But here's where I want to get real for a second. Because some women will hear this and they will feel excited. And then they will go home and the guilt will hit.
Yes.
Who am I to want more? My children need me. My husband works so hard. How can I think about my own passions?
The guilt. Let's talk about it directly.
Please.
Guilt around wanting something for yourself, especially for women, is deeply cultural. We are taught from childhood that a good woman gives, a good wife sacrifices, a good mother puts her children first.
And none of those things are bad, right? Giving is good, sacrifice is love. Children do come first.
Yes, but here's what gets left out of that story. A woman who is fulfilled, who has a sense of self, who pursues something meaningful to her, she is a better mother, a better wife, a better friend.
Because you cannot pour from an empty cup.
You cannot pour from an empty cup. When you fill yourself up, your joy, your energy, your presence, it overflows into everyone around you.
I have seen this in my own life. When I started doing things I love, the podcast, reading, even just morning walks, I became more patient, more present, more fun to be around.
Really? That's interesting. Because for me, when I feel disconnected from my passions, I become quiet, withdrawn. My family notices.
Oh, interesting. So for you, it's withdrawal. For me, it's irritability.
Two different expressions of the same emptiness.
Two different expressions of the same emptiness. That is so relatable. And I think women listening will recognize their own version. Maybe it's exhaustion, maybe it's snapping at the kids, maybe it's just feeling flat and gray every day.
And that flatness is not a character flaw, it's a signal.
A signal from your soul saying, hey, I need something. I need to be seen, even by myself.
Even by yourself. That's the key. Before anyone else can see you, you have to see yourself.
Okay, this leads me to a question I really want to explore. How does a woman start to see herself again? What are the actual steps?
First, she has to create some silence. Not just quiet in the house, silence in her mind. Space where she is not managing, not planning, not worrying, just being.
Ugh, this one is hard. My brain does not know how to be quiet. I sit down and immediately I think, did I reply to that message? Did I send the kids forms? What's for dinner?
Yes, the mental list, the never-ending mental to-do list.
It's like a radio that never turns off.
And that radio is exactly what keeps you from hearing your inner voice. The voice that says, hey, remember that thing you used to love?
So silence is the first step. Okay, what helps create that silence?
Many things. For me, walking without my phone, even 10 minutes, just walking and looking at the world.
Oh yes, walking. Okay, so for me, it's journaling. Just writing. Not beautifully, not for anyone to read, just dumping my thoughts onto paper.
Journaling. That is such a valuable tool for identity work, because when you write, you hear yourself. You see your own thoughts clearly for the first time.
And sometimes what comes out surprises you. I once wrote, I miss singing, and I sat there staring at it. I had completely forgotten that I used to sing in school.
Zubie, you sing?
I used to sing. Whether I still can is a different question entirely.
Fair, but that's such a perfect example. The journaling brought something to the surface that your busy daily life had buried.
Buried, yes, not gone, buried. And buried things can be dug up.
They can always be dug up. That's the hopeful thing. No passion truly dies. It just waits.
It just waits. Okay, I want to give our listeners something really practical here. Leo, if someone is listening and thinking, okay, I want to try this. I want to reconnect, but I don't know where to start. What's one thing they can do today?
One thing today. Sit somewhere quiet, even 5 minutes, and ask yourself honestly, if I had 3 hours completely free, no responsibilities, no guilt, what would I do?
And not the right answer, not I would clean the house or I would rest. The true answer, the one that feels a little scary to say out loud.
The answer that makes you feel both excited and embarrassed. That's usually the real one.
The answer that makes you feel both excited and embarrassed. Oh yes, because mine would be like, I would go to an art class and sing at the top of my lungs.
That's extremely specific.
I have had a lot of time to repress it.
But that's the answer to look for. The one that feels almost too honest, too much, too you.
And that to you feeling, that's not a problem. That's a clue.
That's your identity saying hello.
That's your identity saying hello. I love that so much. Okay, we are going to take this even further because we want to talk about what happens when the people around you don't understand. When you say, I want to take a class, and your family looks at you like you said something crazy.
Ah, the external obstacles. This is a very real part of the journey.
It's not just internal guilt, there's also external pressure. What will people think? Why do you need that? Aren't you happy here?
And how a woman navigates that conversation with her family, with her spouse, with herself is something we absolutely need to talk about.
Coming up next, stay with us. Okay, we are back. And Leo, I want to get into something really real. Because we talked about the internal work, but identity does not exist in a vacuum. It exists in relationships, in families, in households.
Yes, a woman does not rediscover herself in isolation. She does it in the middle of a life that is already happening with people who have opinions about it.
Right. So let us say a woman decides. She thinks, okay, I want to go back to studying, or I want to join a women's group, or I just want 1 hour a day that is mine. How does she even start that conversation with her family?
Let me think. I think the first thing is she has to believe it herself before she can convince anyone else.
Say more about that.
If she walks into that conversation apologetically, I know this is silly, but maybe I was just thinking it is okay if you say no, she is already lost.
Because she is communicating, I do not really believe I deserve this.
And people take you at your word. If you don't believe in your own needs, why would anyone else?
So the first step is internal conviction. She has to know, not just hope, not just wish. She has to know that her wants are valid.
Valid. That is exactly the word. Her needs are not extra. They're not a bonus. They are valid as anyone else's in that house.
Okay, so she has the conviction. Now she is sitting across from her husband or her mother-in-law or whoever it is. What does she actually say?
She speaks from love, not from frustration. She does not say, "You never let me do anything for myself." She says, "I've been thinking about something that I think will actually make me a better person for our family."
Ooh, that reframe is smart. She's not asking for permission, she's sharing something.
And she's connecting it to something they already care about, the family's well-being.
That's actually a communication strategy. Make your need relevant to their values.
Exactly. Now, will this always work? No. Some families are more resistant than others. Some situations are more complicated.
And that's real. Not every woman has a supportive household, and we do not want to pretend otherwise.
Absolutely not. But even in difficult situations, she can start small. She does not need permission to write in a journal. She does not need permission to listen to a podcast that inspires her. She does not need permission to pray, to walk, to sit with her own thoughts.
The internal world is always hers. Nobody can take that.
Nobody can take that. And from that internal world, bit by bit, she builds, she grows. And as she grows, the people around her often begin to notice the change.
They see she's happier, more patient, more herself.
And that becomes its own argument, not a word argument, a lived argument.
Her life becomes the proof.
Her life becomes the proof. Yes.
Okay. Leo, I want to switch gears slightly because we've been talking about women who are primarily in the home, but I want to also speak to working women because they face a different version of this problem, right?
Very different version, and in some ways harder to see, because a working woman might think, well, I have a career, I have an identity outside the home, I'm fine.
But is she?
Not always, because here's the thing, a job title is not an identity. I am an accountant is not the same as I am someone who loves music, who believes in justice, who dreams of writing a novel someday.
So a working woman can also lose herself just in a different role.
She can be lost in the role of the professional, the high achiever, the responsible one, and she forgets, just like the housewife, what she does for herself. Not for her career, not for her family, for herself.
So in some ways, the question, who am I beyond my role, applies to every woman, not just housewives.
Every single woman, a student, a CEO, a retiree, the question lives in all of us.
And maybe that's why this topic matters so much, because it's not about your situation, it's about your humanity.
Your humanity. Every human being has a self that deserves to be known, expressed, celebrated.
Okay, celebrated. I want to use that word because I think one of the things women struggle with is celebrating themselves, acknowledging themselves.
Without guilt, without immediately saying, but I still have so much to do, or I should not boast.
Yes, in our cultures especially, women are taught that self-celebration is arrogance, that confidence is showing off.
But there's a difference between arrogance and self-awareness. Arrogance says, I am better than you. Self-awareness says, I know who I am and I value it.
Self-awareness. I value who I am. That's not arrogance. That's healthy.
That is deeply healthy. And children who grow up watching a mother who values herself, they learn to value themselves too.
Oh, that's the generational argument, isn't it? When a mother knows herself, honors herself, her children grow up with a model of what self-respect looks like. They learn it's safe to have an inner life, safe to have passions, safe to be a full human being. So, rediscovering your identity is not selfish. It's actually a gift to your children.
One of the most powerful gifts you can give them.
Okay, I did not expect to feel this today. Laugh softly, but here we are.
That's what happens when we talk about real things.
All right, let's get into some very practical territory now. We have the philosophy, we have the emotion. Now let's give people some real tools. Leo, what are some daily habits, tiny ones, that help a woman stay connected to her identity?
Okay, first, a morning check-in. Before the day begins, before you check your phone, before you make breakfast, before anyone else needs you, 5 minutes, just for yourself. Sit, breathe, ask, what do I feel? What do I want today?
5 minutes, that's it?
5 minutes is everything. It sets the tone. It says, I exist. Today, I matter too.
I do this. I call it my 3 quiet minutes. I sit with my tea, the third cup, and I just check in with myself.
And now we know what the 3 cups are for. They are identity work.
Exactly, medical research. Okay, what else?
Second habit, a passion appointment. Treat your passion like a meeting. It goes in the calendar. Tuesday, 4:30, I read. Friday morning, I sketch. Whatever it is, it's scheduled.
Because if it's not scheduled, life fills that space immediately.
Immediately. The appointment makes it real. It makes it non-negotiable. And when it's in the calendar, you're more likely to protect it.
I love this idea of an appointment with yourself, like you're important enough for a meeting.
You are. You absolutely are.
Okay, my version of this, I call it Zubie time. Very creative, I know. But I have it, and everyone in my life knows that window is mine.
And did it feel strange to claim that at first?
Incredibly strange. I felt selfish. I felt like I had to justify it every time. But slowly, it became normal, and now it's just part of who I am.
That's the journey. Strange to normal. Unfamiliar to essential.
Strange to normal. Let's put that on a poster.
Let's.
Okay, third habit?
Community. Find even one person, a friend, an online group, a neighbor, who also values growth, who asks you, how are you doing? What are you working on? Not just, are the kids okay? How is your husband?
Someone who asks about you, just you.
Someone who is interested in your inner world, not just your outer responsibilities.
This is so important because isolation is the enemy of identity. When you have no one asking about your dreams, you start to forget you have them.
And when you find people who see you, really see you, it gives you permission to be seen by yourself.
Oh, that's deep. Being seen by others gives you permission to see yourself.
We're social beings. We need mirrors, people who reflect us back to ourselves.
Okay, I'm going to share our templates now because I want to give our listeners something they can actually use, something they can say either to themselves or to the people in their lives.
Great idea.
So, template 1, for talking to yourself, for that morning check-in, you can say, "Today I choose to see myself. I am more than my roles. I have value, I have dreams, and I deserve space to grow."
Simple, direct, powerful. And my version, a little calmer. I am a woman of depth and purpose. My identity matters. I will honor it in at least one small way today.
In at least one small way today. I love that qualifier because it doesn't demand perfection. It just asks for something.
Just one thing, just one small act of self-recognition.
And template 2, for talking to someone in your life, if you need to explain that you need some time or space for yourself, you can say, "I love you and I love this family, and I also need a little time that is just mine. It will make me a better version of myself for all of us."
And my version, a little more direct. I have a need I want to share with you. It's important to me, and I would love your support.
Notice neither version is apologizing, neither is begging. Both are communicating with love and with self-respect.
That balance, love and self-respect, is the key to every healthy relationship conversation.
Love and
Okay, Leo, I want to go into some real situations now because I think hearing, "here is what you can do," is helpful, but sometimes women need to hear, "here is what it looks like in real life."
Situation-based examples. Yes, this is so valuable because the same advice can look very different depending on where you are.
Exactly. So, situation 1, a woman who is a full-time housewife, no income of her own, maybe she comes from a very traditional household. She genuinely feels, "I do not have the luxury to think about my passions."
This is one of the most common situations. And first, I want to acknowledge it honestly. It is harder when you have fewer resources, when your time is not fully your own. I will not pretend otherwise.
Real talk. We appreciate that, Leo.
But even in this situation, there are small things. She can read. Free online resources exist. She can listen to podcasts like this one while she cooks or cleans.
She can write in a journal. She can pray and reflect. She can watch a documentary. She can connect with women online who are on the same journey.
The key for her is she uses the margins, the 10 minutes between tasks, the quiet after everyone is asleep.
The margins of the day. You do not need big blocks of time to start. You start in the margins.
And as she grows, as she finds her voice, she can begin to ask for more. But it starts in the margins.
Okay, situation 2. A working woman. She has a job, but she feels completely burnt out. Like she goes from work to home to sleep. There is no room for anything that feels like her.
This is exhaustion as identity loss, and it is very real. She is technically doing things, but none of them feel like self-expression.
So what does she do?
She asks one honest question. Is there anything in my current life, in my job, at home, anywhere, that I do for the love of it? Not for money, not for duty, just because it brings me alive.
And if the answer is no, that is information. Important information.
It means something needs to change. Maybe not dramatically. Maybe just she starts with 15 minutes of something she loves on her lunch break. She eats alone and reads something for pleasure, not for work, not for improvement.
Just pleasure, just joy. Leo, we forget that joy is allowed.
We are taught that joy must be earned, but joy is not a reward for finishing everything. Joy is a right.
Joy is a right. Say that louder.
Joy is a right, not a reward, not a luxury, a right.
I want to put that on my wall. Okay, situation 3. A woman who has just gone through a big life change. Maybe her children have grown up and left home. Maybe she has divorced. Maybe she has retired. And suddenly, she does not know who she is.
The what now woman, and this is a particularly vulnerable time because the role that defined her is suddenly gone.
And the emptiness is very loud.
Very loud, and sometimes terrifying, because she spent so many years being needed, and now the needs are quieter, and in that silence, she does not know what to do with herself.
What does she need to hear?
She needs to hear, this is not the end. This is actually, if she can find the courage to see it that way, the beginning of the most free chapter of her life.
The most free chapter. Oh, I like that. Because it is true. When the heavy responsibilities shift, there is space, real space.
And that space is terrifying and beautiful. She gets to decide, for maybe the first time in decades, who she wants to be, not who she needs to be.
Who she wants to be, not needs, wants.
And she should take that question seriously. What do I want? What have I always wanted to try? Who would I be if I had chosen differently? And then, maybe, she begins to choose some of those things now.
It is never too late. I really want to say that clearly. If you are 45 and you are listening, it is not too late. If you are 60 and you are listening, it is not too late.
The women who bloom most magnificently often do so late in life because they have wisdom, experience, self-knowledge, things a 20-year-old does not have.
They have earned their blooming.
They have earned every petal of it.
Okay, Leo, I want to do the emotional reframe now, because we have talked about identity, about guilt, about practical steps, about real situations, but there's something we haven't addressed directly.
The fear.
The fear. Because underneath all of this, I think many women are afraid to want more, afraid to try and fail, afraid that if they change, if they grow, something will break.
That fear is real, and it deserves to be spoken to directly.
So let's speak to it. Leo, what do you say to the woman who is afraid?
I say your fear makes complete sense. You have been taught for a long time that your value is in what you do for others. So when you start to do something for yourself, the old system inside you panics. It says, this is wrong. This is dangerous.
But it's not dangerous.
It is not. That panic is not a warning from reality. It's an echo of old beliefs, old messages, old programming.
Old programming that was given to you, probably by people who were themselves given the same programming. Your mother, her mother.
A long chain of women who forgot themselves so others could remember themselves.
A long chain, and you have the chance to break that chain, not with anger, with love, with gentle, radical self-reclamation.
Radical, that's the word. Reclaiming yourself is radical, but radical does not mean reckless.
Radical just means at the root, getting back to your root, who you actually are.
And who you are is not less than anyone else in your home, not less than your husband, not less than your children, not less than your mother-in-law or your boss or anyone.
You are equal in value, in worth, in the right to exist fully.
And acknowledging that is not pride. That is not selfishness. That is truth.
That is simply truth. And when you start living from that truth, things change. They really do.
Slowly, not all at once, but they change.
Slowly. And we want to remind you, slow is okay. This is not a race. This is your life. You are allowed to take your time.
You are allowed to take your time.
Warm pause. All right, let's go into our recap, because Leo and I have been talking for a while now, and we've learned some things about each other, too.
We have.
Smiling in his voice. Leo, I learned something about you today. I learned that when you feel disconnected from your passions, you go quiet, you withdraw.
Yes, I become like a library that nobody visits.
That's the most Leo thing you have ever said.
I stand by it. And Zubie, I learned that you used to draw and that you used to sing, and that somewhere inside you, those parts are still alive, just waiting for an invitation.
Softly, they really are. And this conversation, honestly, has been that invitation for me today.
Good, because that's what this show is for, not just for our listeners, but for us too.
For all of us, because identity work does not stop. It's not a destination, it's a daily practice.
A daily practice of asking, who am I today? What do I feel today? What do I want to honor about myself today?
And the answer will be different every day, and that's okay.
That's beautiful, actually. It means you're alive, you're growing, you're not stuck.
You are not stuck, even if it feels like you are, even if today was hard, even if you couldn't find your 5 minutes, even if the guilt came back.
Tomorrow is another chance, and the day after that, and the day after that.
Every single day, a new chance to say, I am here, I matter, I choose myself too.
Not only, not instead of everyone else, but also, alongside, together.
I choose myself too. That's the message of today.
That's the heart of today.
And if that message reached you, if you felt something today, we really want to know. Please leave us a comment. Tell us, what is one thing you used to love that you have left behind?
Maybe it's painting, maybe it's dancing, maybe it's reading, maybe it's gardening. Whatever it is, write it down. Even just typing it is an act of remembering.
And if you want to be brave, write, I choose myself too, in the comments. Let's build a community of women who see each other.
Who remind each other that we are more than our roles.
Always more. Before we close, please, if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel or podcast. It really, truly helps us keep making content like this.
And like this episode, share it. Send it to someone who needs it today. A friend, a sister, a woman you love.
One share can change one day, and one day can change one life.
We're not exaggerating when we say your comment, your share, your subscribe, it means everything to us. We read them, we love them.
We genuinely love them. They keep us going. They remind us why we do this.
So, thank you. From the bottom of our hearts, thank you for being here.
All right, we're almost at the end, and before we go, I just want to say one thing, directly to you, the woman listening.
Go ahead.
You are not just anything. Not just a housewife, not just a mother, not just a worker, not just a student. You are a full, complex, beautiful, layered human being. And the world needs all of you, not just the giving parts, all of you.
Keep going. Keep asking the question. Keep making space for yourself.